One of my favorite creative innovators of the 20th century is Henry Ford, the inventor of the Model T and the Ford Motor Company. Now make no mistake, Henry Ford didn't invent the automobile. In fact, when the Model T first came out, automobiles had already been in existence for over 20 years. Henry Ford simply redefined the way we think about automobiles, and in doing so, changed and revolutionized an entire industry. By using creative and unconventional wisdom, Henry Ford used tactics such as the assembly line, paying workers double the wages of his closest competitors, and a creative franchising licensing system across 6 continents, and was able to massively popularize the Model T as a result and make it the stuff of legends. It's that same creative and innovative spirit that Henry Ford embodied that has led to paradigm shifts in society in the way we approach things and the way we approach solutions. And one arena in which this is taking shape is within the social sector. Creativity and innovation is changing the way we even think about social sector to begin with. From the Green Microfinance Bank to clean water filtration systems in India, all the way to synthetic malaria vaccines in Africa, creativity is changing the way we approach and solve social sector solutions. And so today, I'd like to talk to you about creativity within the social sector space, specifically through the experiences of Project Belize, which I personally had the privilege of going to in the summer of 2011. By using creative and innovative strategies, PwC was able to transform educational reform in the small country of Belize and was able to maximize its overall impact. But first, I'd like to give you a little bit of background about the country of Belize. Belize is on the coast of Mexico in Central America with a population of 334,000 people. 50% of the population is under 20 years old, which really means that the youth holds the key for the future of Belize's economic development. Unfortunately for this country, only 35% of Belize's 5,000 teachers have actually received formalized training, and even fewer have completed secondary and tertiary education. Even worse, the average median family income in Belize is only $2,200 a year, meaning that many high school students don't have the opportunity to have high school and college education. Fortunately, there's a large glimmer of hope. You see, in 2008, PwC started a pilot initiative called Project Belize, in which every summer we send 400 full-time staff and interns to the country of Belize across multiple lines of service in order to teach these students the importance of business principles, such as finance, accounting, and entrepreneurship. We've even set up a scholarship fund starting in 2008 for Belizean youth to be able to attend high school and college. And so far in the past 5 years, we've raised over $230,000 collectively. Now, PwC's Project Belize has transformed education reform in this country, and we got to where it was today because of creative strategies that we've deployed. And so today, I'd like to talk to you about 3 main creative strategies. First, it's mobilizing the entire PwC workforce across different offices. Second, it's creatively tweaking the business curriculum that we taught the students in Belize to make it applicable to their daily lives. And finally, it's that we used public awareness and outreach campaigns to maximize the outreach and the exposure within the country of Belize. But first, I'd like to talk to you about mobilizing the PwC community. Oftentimes, within social sector organizations, it's what happens in the background that often goes unnoticed, but is extremely important. And this is definitely the case with Project Belize. In fact, in the summer of 2011, myself, 4 other interns, and many full-time staff in the San Jose and San Francisco offices organized a supply drive in which we helped supply donations for school supplies such as pencils and pens, storybooks and textbooks, card and board games, as well as sports equipment to bring to the country of Belize. And we organized a lot of creative ways in order for many of the other PwC employees to get involved. We set up supply bins in every floor in the San Jose office, as well as the San Francisco office. And on top of that, we also set up piggy banks within the 2 offices for people to put in their spare change. 3 to 4 days before we actually went to Belize, we took that change to the nearest dollar store and bought up as many pounds of school supplies for these children as we possibly could. We also fostered an inter-office friendly competition between the San Jose and the San Francisco office, so that we promised them that the office that had the most number of supplies donated would get a pizza party. We also worked closely with HR and market leads across different lines of service between the two offices to get internal communications out to the teams to build awareness campaigns for Project Belize. And because of our efforts in 2011, we were able to raise 7,000 pounds of school supplies for Belizean children. And by 2013, cumulatively, we raised over 27,000 pounds. And when we actually went to Belize and delivered these supplies to these students firsthand, the expression on their faces of gratitude was the most rewarding part of it all. Next, I'd like to talk to you about creativity around the business curriculum. Now, like I said before, we went to Belize to go to high schools and middle schools to teach the students the importance of business principles. But one of the biggest challenges that we found was the fact that many of these students looked like they were rather bored and didn't really want to be there. And this was because of two reasons. First, it was because many of these students had never received a formalized education before, and therefore couldn't really grasp a lot of the business and the finance principles that we were teaching them. And second, because it was during summer and was part of their summer vacation, many of them simply wanted to just be outside and play as opposed to being confined in a classroom. Therefore, we had to come up with a creative solution to integrate the knowledge into their daily lives and give them an avenue to tell their own story. We found that as long as we gave them a creative outlet to tell the entire group and share their life experiences and their personal experiences, they automatically became a lot more willing to participate and therefore became more engaged. One example of this was a student named Eduardo that I personally taught in Belize. Now, Eduardo was a fan of Michael Jordan growing up and was always a big fan of sneakers, such as Air Jordans, and he always followed the most recent lines of sneakers that Reebok, Adidas, and Nike came out with. And so we really focused our curriculum around that. We had him design his own shoe, design the own logo, and we helped him through a marketing campaign for him to sell those shoes in the future. We helped him come up with inventory, costing, and we helped him with financial accounting, and we helped him with branding on how to maximize his potential. And because Eduardo and many of the other students actually saw these dreams as real and saw that he could become like this, and we inspired him to give him the hope, he was able to become much more engaged. And many of these students followed suit. And because of the way we crafted the business curriculum to involve the daily experiences of the lives of the children, they became a lot more engaged and really internalized our material and used it for their daily lives. Finally, I'd like to talk to you about creative outreach and awareness campaigns. Now, when we first went to Belize in 2008, our network within the country wasn't very established. Belize was a country of 330,000 people, but we didn't really have a presence. And so we really utilized Carol Babb, the Chief Education Officer of Belize, and the Honorable Patrick Faber, the Belize Minister of Education, to organize a grassroots campaign to fix education reform within the country. We borrowed a lot of the reputation and the fact that these two individuals were very well known within the Belize community, and we mobilized around them to reach teachers as well as parents. We were able to get 435 teachers in the country involved, as well as 81 parents using word-of-mouth campaigns to get the message across. We also used many radio as well as TV announcements across Belize City and the entire country. That PwC was holding workshops for an entire week for any student that just wanted to learn about business principles. In 2011, we had only expected 350 students to show up, but over 790 students actually showed up. In 2008, we only had 4 schools in Belize that we reached out to, but in 2013, we're now in over 30 schools. In 2008, we were teaching 800 students per year, but by the year 2013, that number had doubled to 1,500 students per year. And so because of the creative outreach and public awareness campaigns that PwC really used across the country of Belize, we've really helped build our network and build that grassroots education reform from the bottom up. And so today I'd like to leave you with a couple of closing thoughts. We, as part of PwC, are extremely privileged. We work at one of the top accounting and consulting companies in the entire world, and we have limitless resources at our feet. If we can embody the spirit, the creative and innovative attitude that Henry Ford had, using our 175,000 people across the world, there's no social issue that's too large for us to handle. We went into the country of Belize, a country of 330,000 people. And if we can teach 1,000 students each year, and those students are able to teach those principles to their family, their friends, their relatives every year, then it really changes the way they think about education, about business, and it will lead to economic development in the And who knows, maybe Eduardo could be the next Henry Ford. Thank you.